All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co host Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you to both recap our Sunday win against the New Orleans Saints, where our Rams won 21-14, and preview our matchup this upcoming Sunday against the Buffalo Bills at SoFi Stadium. Jake, coming off of this win against the Saints, obviously a good feeling. It's always a good feeling when you are having a victory week, as we are against the Saints. Both you and I predicted that the Rams would get this win against the Saints. Just looking at kind of the skill set of each team and where they both were. The Saints, very banged up, have had their struggles, due to injury, not a great defense, not terrible. And we made sure to give them credit where it was due. But we just felt like with the momentum, of both teams, that the Rams were going to walk away with a win. And we were both right. So we were happy, to see the Rams get the win. And it felt like, kind of a re-energization, I guess you could say, maybe, of this Rams team. It felt like, the game started off a little bit slow, and I know that panic set in between Rams fans where, the game starts off and we're all going, oh no, this is, were we wrong about this? What's going on? But then I felt like the Rams got into their rhythm. They started to pick things up a little bit, especially offensively. Kyron Williams, big day, for him on the ground against this Rams defense. 104 yards, a touchdown, averaging 6.9 yards a carry. Matthew Stafford had two touchdowns. Puka, Demarcus Robinson had a touchdown. And honestly, it felt like the Rams could have scored more, kind of like I alluded to earlier. Like they definitely kind of got started late offensively. It was just a game that felt like the Rams very easily could have racked up the points with. But Jake, coming out of this game against the Saints, what were your biggest takeaways and what do you think it means for the Rams going into Sunday against the Bills?
Yeah, Alexis, it was a tough one to start off, right? Really frustrating, not able to get any points on the board in the first half, which is unprecedented. Sean McVay has never done that in a regular season game. The last time he did that was in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, which everyone knew. But I thought the way they responded in the second half was really exciting, impressive, and I don't think it's being talked about nearly enough. Because when I went back and I watched, I'm like, okay, this offensive line struggled. And this is the first time all five guys, and I say this because I have to say this, all five desired starters. Because obviously Jonah Jackson preseason would have started over Bo Limmer. But this is the thing, though, is when you're talking about, what Bo Limmer has meant to this team and how they've kind of moved around the offensive line a little bit, this is the desired starting five. So when you have the desired starting five for the first time all year, it's really fascinating. Like, how's this thing going to go? And I thought that they struggled early on. We saw that, probably a big reason why they put up a goose egg in the first half. But Alexis, when I was watching the second half, you could see as time went on, this offensive line got more acclimated. This offensive line started to gel on the fly. I mean, this is the first time all five of those guys are playing next to each other in an NFL game. And so I was very encouraged when I went back and I saw that. And then in addition to that, I was really encouraged that the defense, while, they gave up over 100 yards to another running back, that running back is Alvin Kamara. That guy has had 5 touchdowns in a game before. So he is always a threat. Saquon's a threat. And, they gave up 100 plus. Obviously, Saquon 255. But the point being here is that while they gave up those rushing yards, Alexis, a lot of that was in the first half. I thought they made great adjustments in the second half. Thought they got after Derek Carr. That pressure continues to be there. And in addition to that, they held the Saints receiving core, which isn't great, let me be honest with you, but they held the Saints receiving core to everybody was under 40 yards at least. Their leading receiver was Taysom Hill. So look, right now, do I think the Rams are, the hottest team in the league? No, but I do think that they have shown signs. And unfortunately, as I mentioned in that Eagles game, things just snowballed in that one. But I thought you saw good things out of the Patriots game, only giving up 3 pressures against the defense that had 29 the week prior. And then in this Saints game, and I understand they're not as good as the Eagles, but in this Saints game, a better team than the record would indicate. They go on the road. They've now won 3 straight road games. And this is a team that started 0-3 on the road. So I do think there's things to take away that maybe, people wanted a high scoring game. And, I initially said this was an ugly one. It really wasn't ugly. I thought the Rams dominated the second half, and that showed. So, I think really kind of concluding my whole view on this is that the Rams showed that there was a different way to win this style of game. You can throw on the Saints. Teams have thrown on the Saints all year. You could run on the Saints. But I was surprised. Like, Matthew Stafford only completed 14 passes, only threw 24, and didn't even have 200 yards, threw 2 touchdowns, and they won this game with 3 scores. So, I do think that getting the run game going and getting that offensive line gelling, those are the key things to take away from this game. The one thing I will say is I wish they could have gotten Josh Carty, not saying that I wanted them to not score touchdowns in the red zone, but I mean, just in general, getting field goal opportunities. I know they went for it at one point. So, that would have been nice, because I do want that kid's confidence to be as high as it can be. And right now, it's like going an entire game without kicking a field goal. You're probably going to need him against the Bills. So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought of it from that point of view, but yeah, I agree. You talk about the run game, and I'm seeing some comments. So for everybody who's listening on audio, we are live tonight. So Jake and I are live streaming, so we can see comments as they come in, and I'm seeing some comments, talking about running the ball, in this game against the Saints. And Jake, something you and I talked about is obviously the desire for this Rams offense has been to be a bit more balanced. And because due to injuries, right, when we started the season, we had our star receivers out, and we were like heavy run, right? And, you kind of had Kyron shouldering, 90% of the workload. And then all of a sudden you had offensive line injuries. And then that started affecting the passing game and the run game. And even though Kupp and Nakua were back, Matthew Stafford couldn't get the ball out because the offensive line was failing. And so I feel like the Rams have at times, we've just really struggled to find moments where we can be as balanced as we want to be. And I feel like we found that in the second half against the Saints. And what we saw is when you're able to really effectively balance the run game with the pass game, this Rams offense is like very successful, right? Because Kyron was having a lot of success on the ground against the Saints defense. But then you can kind of give him a breather a bit, and then you can let Matthew Stafford make those throws because you've got guys like Puka Nakua, who had a very, very good game. Looking here, 5 receptions for 56 yards. For Puka Nakua, people might be saying, oh, that's kind of a down game for him. But it was also because we were able to open up the run game a little bit more. Cooper Kupp had a quiet game. I mean, I was very wrong in one of my predictions, right? When you and I make kind of our crazy game predictions, I was like, Cooper Kupp, he's going over 100 yards receiving this game. He had 17 yards, but it was
You almost had Braden Fisk. That was wild. What the hell? How?
I do want to bring that up because I had a lot of people messaging me about this. So, our last episode, when we did our bold predictions, I was like, we're going to see a defensive lineman interception. I don't remember if I said interception or pick six. I think I said interception.
I thought you said defensive lineman interception.
Yeah. And so I, of course, then when we thought Braden Fisk had that one, I was going, no way. Everybody was messaging me on Twitter, X, whatever you call it. Being like, oh my God, you called it. I was freaking out. Of course it came back. I thought, I was finally going to get one of those really crazy bold predictions with, that Braden Fisk would be interception, and I didn't. I wasn't that lucky. And I guess neither was Fisk. Rewatching the play, I think they made the right call. But yeah, I almost had that one. But I was very wrong about the Cooper Kupp yardage. Obviously, I thought he was going to go over 100. He got 17. But, it's not a bad position to be in when you have so many playmakers on offense and you're having success in multiple different ways that you get the job done. You get it done in the way that you do. Some people have a lot of yards one week and hardly at all the next. So yeah, I just thought we saw a more balanced offense out of the Rams. And I was, I felt like McVay did a better job this week of balancing the run in the pass game, which I think at times we've struggled with on offense.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I would wrap up this game by saying I want to give credit to the linebackers. I think Christian Roseboom is playing the best football of his career. I don't think it's a shock considering the fact that he's playing alongside Omar Speights. I think it's kind of unlocked him in a way. I feel like he's playing more freely. I mean, we're seeing, his maturation in pass coverage as well. Roseboom struggled in pass coverage, but I thought he had some really impressive reps. And so then you look at Omar Speights and talk about a guy that's just growing on the fly, right? So some really good things to take away from this game for sure. But before we get into the next game, just want to let you guys know that, of course, the sponsor of this live stream is Prize Picks. You can use my code JKBogan and get $50 instantly when you sign up. And you don't even have to win. Just a $5 lineup, $50 instantly, 2 to 6 players. You either have more or less. You pick them all across the board, and you'll have $50 added to your account regardless of the outcome. So be sure to check that out today. JK Bogan is the code. Be sure to head on over to Prize Picks and get in on the action with the Rams-Bills game. You got the NBA, you got the NHL, a lot of stuff to pick over on Prize Picks. But Alexis, before we get into, this game, I wanted to touch on a player that the Rams picked up. Wanted to get your thoughts. We didn't really talk too much about this, texting and what have you. Like, it was a busy week. I know you've been going through hell and back. It's why we're recording here on Friday. But, just talking about, and I have to be careful here because I love this player, but for whatever reason, Emanuel Forbes, my dumb brain, knowing the NBA and all that, wants to keep calling him, I don't know if you remember the player, Emmanuel Mudiay. Every single time, I'm like, I have to stop myself from saying Emmanuel Mudiay. And I'm a huge fan of Forbes, and I've been talking about him, but for whatever reason, all of a sudden, it's like, remember Logan Bruss? I kept calling him Dylan Bruss on the show. It's that. It's literally that all over again. Yeah. So what were your thoughts on that? Because I think everybody here, on this channel knows how I feel. This was my guy that I really wanted in the draft 2 years ago. And to get somebody like that, that's wild. I think it's absolutely wild because I don't care what anyone says. If you can get, a first round, a mid first round cornerback who has that athleticism, who has that skill set, who has those ball skills in general, and you can get him 2 years after he's drafted, that's 2 years of control. And then if he works out, Alexis, you get a 5th-year option. So yeah, what were your thoughts on that?
I like it. I liked him coming out of college as well. And I felt like, I'm not going to pretend like I watched every game of his, rookie season, right? But,
Yeah.
my understanding of the situation, it's just like I think he had, a couple really bad games. I do remember watching the game, I think it was against the Bears, where the Commanders played the Bears. He had a lot of blown coverages. He struggled a bit, but was such a young player. I just found it very confusing that the Commanders I felt like jump shipped on him so early. And then he did have a UCL injury like in his thumb, and so then he got injured. And I just feel like it's a situation right now where it's kind of a 50-50 chance with him. Like he can come to the Rams and he can absolutely, really start his career in a sense, right? Because he didn't really get an opportunity, in Washington. So he can really start fresh and he could be kind of the player I think everybody was projecting him to be out of college. Or maybe he still has those issues that he had in Washington and struggles against coverage. I mean, one of the games I think he really got criticized for, he was covering like A.J. Brown, which is so difficult as a any corner in general. And everybody wanted to judge his career based off like his rookie season against AJ Brown. So
it's the weight. It's definitely the weight. It's like Tutu Atwell covering AJ Brown. If Tutu Atwell was stretched out a little bit more to like 6'1", I think he is. So
yeah, so he does have limitations, right? And I think, he could overcome those or he won't. I just think it's one of those situations where it sounds like so simple of an analysis, like, well, he's going to be good or he's not. But really, it kind of is that, because I think what you're doing is you're taking a player who is a big question mark, who he's so young that the struggles he's had, again, we don't really know if that's going to be consistent or if he's going to be able to overcome that, because the Commanders didn't really give him time to work it out. I mean, they just didn't. They moved on really quickly. He was injured. So I think it's definitely worth, picking him up. And, we have an opportunity, like you alluded to earlier, to have a very young, great corner if he's able to be
Yeah.
who, everybody kind of thought he was going to be. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I loved it as soon as I saw that the Commanders, waived him. I was like, let's do it. I mean, the Rams are in a situation where, I felt like the game against the Saints and what I've been feeling throughout the season, and I know I'm not alone in this, is that the Rams don't really have like a true corner one. I just don't think that they do. They do. And that's not taking away, like, Kobe Durant has had really good games this season. Darius Williams has had his moments, but he's also had moments where, I felt like he really struggled against the Saints. And I feel like, I'm not saying Emmanuel Forbes will be a corner one, but I'm saying I feel like the Rams can take all the help that they could get right now. If you have an opportunity to really beef up, which might not be the best phrase for Emanuel Forbes, but theoretically, right?
Yeah, I
Beef
get
up
what
your,
you were saying.
you get what I'm saying, but I laugh at that
That's funny.
statement but you know what I mean? You have a chance to add to your secondary that's kind of struggling, and you have an opportunity to potentially get a guy in there who's really going to help out. I think you take it, no matter what, you take it. So we're going
Yeah.
to see. And you know what? Maybe it doesn't work out. If that's the case, you took the chance, but you really have nothing to lose uh, by
It
drafting him. So,
Yeah, it's a very
or
cheap
getting
deal
him.
because you claimed him, so you have that rookie contract. And I will say this right now: back in the days with actually is the last. Of course, the Rams got hit with that giant Sam Bradford contract. That was the last like giant contract for a rookie, because they changed the rookie wage scale. Because I want to explain this to people that don't understand. Alexis, you probably know what I'm talking about. But they had that collective bargaining agreement. You had the lockout and all of that. When they had that, they changed the rookie wage scale so you weren't paying franchise quarterback money to the number one overall pick and trickling down where you're paying a lot of money to these first rounders. And it makes a lot of sense because, Alexis, the draft is so important because it allows you to be cost effective in finding, talent for 4 years, 5 years with that fifth year option. And so it does a disservice to have those contracts be so gaudy. And so when you look at Emanuel Forbes, a guy that's picked in the middle of the draft 2 years ago, that rookie wage scale makes it so now 2.1 million. I mean, that's going to be his cap hit. So pretty good stuff there, I would say. And I mean, I have no issue with it. Plus, I think that when you look at the cornerback room, I'm very high on Okello, but he doesn't play. So I have to assume that they're probably not bringing him back after the year. And then Kobe Durant is in a contract year next year. So you'll have to decide whether you're going to pay him or not. And then you have Darion Kendrick, and you have Trey Tomlinson, and you have Josh Wallace. But that's it, really. I don't think Darius Williams is going to be back. I think they're going to let him go. It was pretty much a 1-year deal. If they want to keep the 3-year deal going on, okay. But I think really what it comes down to when you look at Darius Williams, that contract, only really the first year was guaranteed. The next 2 years have very limited guaranteed money. And so that's really kind of interesting there, the way they structured that, because it gives them an easy way out. And this is why somebody like Forbes, who has a lot of upside. And I mean, you've seen like some of his like reps where he seems really comfortable. You just see it. The athleticism jumps off the page. He can run the route, that the receiver's running right for them. And again, he's got crazy ball skills. He had like over 13 picks at Mississippi State, but I do think this is going to work out. I made the, basically I made the prediction on my video, and I said I think he's going to end up being a starting corner for the Rams. I think that's working out for sure. But if he ends up being what he was drafted to be, then the Rams could have an absolute stud, and you got him for nothing. And it shouldn't come as a shock. They did this before with Baker Mayfield. They did this before with Darius Williams. When he was a rookie that year, and the Ravens tried to sneak him on the practice squad, and the Rams said nope. They find, and this is the thing about roster building, you have to find, talent in different ways. And it's there's not a one size fits all way to build an NFL roster or any sports roster. So that's kind of, that's what I would say about that. But I'm really excited for Forbes. I know he's not going to play this week, and we'll get to that, of course, with the next game. But yeah, I'm really excited for Forbes.
So Jake, I have to ask you because they're talking about it in the chat.
Yeah.
So when you're speaking every so often, there's a beep and it's like you're being censored coming from your mic, and then your sound
really?
cuts. So everybody's joking that you're being censored and that because there's a beep noise that we're all hearing, and I don't know what it is. So I said in the chat, I was like, I don't know what it is. Somebody said they think that you might need to charge.
I have no idea.
Okay, so we don't know. But he's not.
I do not have a speaker.
So, chat, I asked. But yeah, okay. It's not like a huge deal, but everybody was bringing up there's like a beeping noise, and it's just funny. It does sound like you're censoring yourself or something.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to censor yourself, right?
I guess somebody said headset.
Maybe. I mean, that's certainly possible. Well, but there's no way you would be hearing that, right? Like that wouldn't go through.
That's what's weird is that we're hearing it. I feel like, I don't know.
Because I clicked that out, right? Now you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Is it clipping? I mean, I don't.
Well, let's keep going, guys. And if we hear it, we'll see what it is. But we were joking about it, and there it is. There it is again. Did you guys all hear it? Somebody said it's the Matrix.
Maybe it's
I have no room to talk because normally
I got these headphones because they're great when you're recording, and it just keeps the sound like level. They're the exact ones that Joe Rogan uses. Like they're like, everyone uses them in like the podcast industry. And if I literally downgraded my headphones for this, I'm going to be pissed.
Well, everybody, I don't know if you're looking at the chat, but I am totally cool because normally it would be like me having a tech problem, like lightning hits my house or something. I've had everything going on. But I do let's keep going. I know I just totally derailed the train, but I had to do it. We were all talking about it in the chat. But there is a super chat. Honestly. There is a super chat if we can throw it up. I don't want to miss out as we transition to talking about the Bills.
Ruiz.
So thank you, Ruiz, so much. And Ruiz's question for everybody listening via audio and not watching is: after this year, would you trade 2 firsts for Cam Ward?
No. My thing is, and I feel like, I mean, you're going to be very happy with this draft, I think, because it just feels like, every once in a while there's a player that gets connected to a team and it just seems inevitable. Even back in like November, whatever. I think that player is Benjamin Morrison. Like, I think he's going to end up as, like, if I had to pick right now, I think he's going to end up as a Ram. And you know what? I don't think, and I'm not agreeing of that. I haven't really seen him play too much. I do like his game. I kind of would like to go after left tackle, but you know what I think they're going to do? I think they're going to get a guy like Benjamin Morrison in the first round. They solidify that cornerback position for 4 years, number 1 corner and everything. And then I actually think that they're going to go out and get Garrett Bowles at left tackle, who's having an incredible season. No one's talking about what he's doing in Denver. It's a big reason why Bo Nix is able to do what he does this year, because he's having a good year too. I just don't see them paying Alec Jackson. So that's kind of how I see that going down. I mean, they could absolutely go out and get a tackle, but I just have this weird feeling that they're going to end up with Benjamin Morrison. And I know a lot of fans want him. And I think that the Rams will definitely end up going corner, in the draft. So, we'll see. I could be wrong, but that's just like my gut right now.
Agree. I feel like, Benjamin Morrison makes a lot of sense for the Rams. And I know everyone thinks, I didn't start this agenda, actually. I mean, I obviously know who Benjamin Morrison is. He's a corner for Notre Dame, going to be a first round pick next year. And I started to see other people in the Rams space talking about it. And I thought, oh my God, it's somebody's projecting a Notre Dame player to the Rams and it's not me. But yeah, just based on, I think, the ranking, the Rams, as we already know, and you and I have talked about this a little bit, of where we're going to fall, even if we were to like lose out, right? Something were to happen, the Rams aren't going to end up with a top pick at this point.
Yeah.
We already have, six, wins, I mean, if everything went terribly wrong, I think we could theoretically maybe end up like pick 8, 9, and maybe, but realistically, the Rams are going to be picking it like at least around 13, 14, 15 or later, right? And so you have to kind of look at where these prospects are projected. And I think there is a huge fall off after the top tackles. I think you're going to see some tackles go maybe top 10. Then I think you could see a couple go at the end of the first round. So I don't know that the Rams are really going to be in range to take a tackle. I think the linebacker class, everyone's like maybe linebacker. I don't really know that there's like a true, someone will correct me on this probably, but in my mind, from what I'm seeing, there's not really like a linebacker that I think I could see the Rams taking in the first round where they're going to be projected. I think the first linebacker might go super late. So I think you're probably looking at a corner. And if you look at where these corners fall, I think Will Johnson's going to go early. Totally blanking on the other guy's name. Well, Travis Hunter, obviously, but then you've got, Will Johnson, and then there's somebody else who I'm blanking on. But I think, looking at where the Rams are projected to pick, you're probably looking at, Benjamin Morrison or maybe the corner out of East Carolina, somebody like that. So yeah, I think that Benjamin Morrison makes a lot of sense. You could also be looking at Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. I think, might be a little early to take him if the Rams end up picking mid first, but I could see them doing that. But yeah, to answer Ruiz's question about Cam Ward, I don't think that that will happen. I also think that the quarterbacks are going to go super early in the draft next year, and I think there's a lot of teams, the Raiders, the Giants, the Browns, who are going to be picking early, who are in a quarterback market. I also think the Jets, I could very easily taking a quarterback to sit by Aaron Rodgers. So I just don't think the Rams are going to be in the market for it. And I don't think that they're going to be super inclined to trade what they would need to trade to get up that high to get a guy like Cam Ward. But I understand the thought process of it. I do understand the thought process. I just don't think the Rams are going to do it.
So Ruiz, appreciate it again. Rookie deal for 5 years, build around him via agency. So I don't, are you talking about like the quarterback that you just mentioned, Cam Ward? Because by the way, I loved Cameron Ward at Washington State. Wanted him to come out, was it last year or 2 years ago? And the reason being is because I thought the Rams could have gotten really good value for him, in like the third or fourth round. So yeah, it was definitely like kind of one of those things where, that was a guy that I was looking at. And, I definitely like his game. I just am not the person to talk to right now about the NFL draft. Once the season is over, whether that's the Rams are done or, whatever, then I will be the person to talk to about it. But currently, I got to be honest with you. I mean, I've said it over and over again, so you guys probably already know, but Alexis and I were talking about it. I only watch Kansas. That's it. I don't even watch USC anymore. I just don't, I don't have time for it. And that's really that. And the reason for that is because I'm a diehard Kansas Jayhawk fan, family there and everything. But I don't want to have any preconceived biases when I go and watch tape. And I find, like, for instance, that Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson game, or the, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes game, these awesome college football games. I had the preconceived bias because when I watched the Rose Bowl with the Penn State and USC, and you had Sam Darnold slinging it all over the field, and you had Chris Godwin, Saquon Barkley, like, obviously I knew those players were great, but like I had that extra, it was almost like a bias because in that moment I was like, this is one of the greatest college football games I've ever watched. That Rose Bowl game. A lot of people I'm sure even know a lot of people I'm sure know what I'm talking about. But that's the thing. That's why I don't really like watching during the season. I know I'm weird, like I don't look at college football on the level of the NFL. The NFL, I could watch any bad game on TV. College football, I can't even watch like the best teams in the country.
Yeah, I'm not, a massive college football, you know, fan, I guess you could say, or, I watch Notre Dame when I can, or if there's a good game on, I'll watch it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of, when we start to, put together at the end of the season, we have more time, people come on our show, and then we watch tape. That's when, I think we
Yeah.
both watch, a lot of that stuff. But on that note, let's get into previewing our matchup against the Bills because we've, kind of covered, uh, our brief thoughts and recap on the game against the Saints, and now we've got a game against the Bills coming up. And here's the thing, you and I have said this for a while, and I said before the Eagles game there was two teams that made me nervous the rest of the season, and that was the Eagles and the Bills, because I feel like the Rams, and I still feel like the Rams can beat anybody else that we play the rest of the year. I really believe that. The Bills, we're going to talk about it. The Bills are the best team that the Rams are going to play for the rest of the season. They just are.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, MVP candidate at quarterback. He's absolutely incredible. And, I don't think Josh Allen gets enough credit because I don't even think he's working with that much. A lot of people talk about how great Josh Allen is, but, remember he's lost Stephon Diggs. And, looking at that offense, I mean, now he has Amari Cooper, but to start the season, he didn't have Amari Cooper. And I always feel like it's really impressive when you watch Josh Allen because he doesn't have all of these weapons that you would think he does watching him play, right? He makes a lot happen out of nothing. So, Jake, looking at this Bills team, I'm going to pull a Jake and I'm going to spoil our predictions, but neither Jake and I are picking the Rams to win this game. We're going to get that out of the way. I know that that's going to shock the Homer crowd, people who call us homers whenever we pick the Rams to win. Like I just said, I think the Rams are going to win every other game the rest of the season.
Yeah.
You and I were concerned about the Eagles, even though we did pick the Rams to win against the Eagles. Obviously, we're wrong. The Bills, realistically, looking at how both teams have been playing on paper, probably not going to pick, the Rams to win. Obviously, we're going to be rooting for them to win, and we hope that we're wrong. But we would be disingenuous if we came on the show and picked the Rams to win every single game. That would just be not right. and people would be pissed. People already get pissed when we pick the Rams to win. Sorry, guys, that is my phone ringing over there. So between my phone ringing and Jake's beeping noise on his mic, everybody's just getting like a plethora of background noise this episode. So Jake, looking at this matchup, against the Bills, let's start by talking about that Bills offense because Josh Allen is this Bills team. So what do you think we need to attempt to do on defense to stop him? Or at least, maybe we can't stop him and the Bills offense, but at least kind of like make it more difficult for them so we don't get run all over on defense.
Well, I mean, they're not going to do it, but I really would get creative as like the quarterback spy. I mean, I think I would go after, Quentin Lake is athletic, but is he fast enough to cut off Josh Allen when he's trying to get to the corner down the sideline? I don't know if he is. So then I would look at, potentially, and I mean, the same thing. He's not like super fast. He's got good speed, but he's not the blazing speed guy that you would think because, I mean, I know he had that 103-yard touchdown interception, but yeah, I would probably say that, somebody, and I know people are going to say stuff and I don't really care. I mean, Akello Witherspoon ran a 4.3. You can't even say, Emanuel Forbes because he would be way too thin to play that like in the box spy. But what I would do, and I think it would work well, is if you're not going to use Akello Witherspoon in the secondary like you did last week, I'd put him in as the spy. I'd play him at linebacker. And I say that because he can tackle. He's got this crazy wingspan. He's 6'3", but he also runs a 4.3. So this is somebody that could cut off any attempt of Josh Allen getting to that sideline and where he does his damage. And that is really the thing that freaks me out the most about this game, is that when you watch the Eagles game, I thought they got a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts counterpunched that. He used the leverage and basically took their strength and used it against them, because you have all these guys. I mean, on that play where Jared Verse knocks Jordan Mailata on his ass, I mean, that ends up being a positive play for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I would be rolling with a quarterback spy. Josh Allen doesn't run the ball as much as he used to, but he's still wicked effective. And with this offense that the Bills run, since they got rid of Ken Dorsey, this is not a team that's just going to fire it down the field at will. This is why the Bills are dangerous, because what they do is they bleed the clock and they bleed out your defense. It's just like multiple shivs to the chest, because they have all these different options. And that's the thing, Alexis, is that they don't have like 1,000-yard receiver. I mean, maybe they might, but currently right now, it's not like they have a Jamar Chase. The thing that makes the Bills so scary is that they have Josh Allen, who can make any play on the field, whether with his legs or with his arm. He's become so much better over the years, way more patient, and just a way better decision maker. Then you have one of the more underrated running backs in football, who doesn't fumble, who has some power, who has breakaway speed, pass catching ability, James Cook. And then you have Ray Davis out of Kentucky, who they got in this draft, who has a lot of power as well. So you can use those guys. Ty Johnson as well is an option in that backfield. They got him from the Jets. And then you look at your wide receivers over in Buffalo, and I don't care if Keon Coleman and play or not. I still think the Bills win this game. But if they do play, think about that. You got Keon Coleman, big target for Josh Allen. You got Dalton Kincaid, who's really their best receiving threat. He's been banged up. He's been limited in practice this week, just like Keon Coleman. Then you have Amari Cooper, who's going into his 5th game, with this team. So you have to think Amari Cooper, who was having some success last year when the Rams played the Browns, with Joe Flacco. He goes down with the injury, leaves, and the game changes on a dime. The Rams start rolling, right? But at that time, Amari Cooper was giving him something. So Cooper can play. But the thing about Cooper is that he does everything. He's a great route runner. He, obviously creates a lot of separation, great natural hands receiver, but also he blocks. He sticks his face in the fan. He blocks. In addition to that, you got Khalil Shakir. Shakir is... they were looking for, because back when they had Cole Beasley, they were able to move the chains on 3rd down. Cole Beasley would just be right in the middle of the field. Well, since Beasley retired or left, I don't even remember what happened, Alexis, but he's not around anymore. They got Khalil Shakir out of Boise State. And this guy, I'm telling you right now, he's not the flashiest player. He's not the strongest player. He's not the fastest. He doesn't have the best hands in the world. But this guy just finds the soft spot in the zone and continues the drive. He's reliable over the middle, and most of his yards have come after the catch. So I just think that they have a lot of different pieces. They might not be these sexy names like a Jamar Chase or, a Puka Nacua, but a lot of these guys can be dependable for this team. And this offensive line is coached well by Aaron Kromer, former Rams offensive line coach. So you got a lot of guys here. Talking about Spencer Brown at right tackle, and it's going to be interesting. It really is. Deion Dawkins at left tackle versus Jared Verse, I think, is as pivotal of a matchup is on the other side of the ball. Rob Havenstein taking on Gregory Rousseau. Both of those guys are just absolutely game breakers. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. Josh Allen has a lot of weapons. He's got a really good offensive line. The Rams are going to have to bottle him up. And I would say if you watch the Colts game, The Colts lost 30-20 because they didn't have the firepower and Joe Flacco and Matthew Stafford. But if the Rams defense can do what the Colts did, put a lot of pressure on Josh Allen, force him into having turnovers and making poor decisions, the Rams can steal this game because they have the firepower to compete with this team if they get into that type of game. Are they a well-oiled machine like the 2021 offense that was one of the best in the league? Are they 2018? Absolutely not. And so that's why if this game is like a 30, 34, whatever game, I don't know if the Rams can keep up scoring wise. I think they want to win this game, 24-21, something along those lines, because the Bills just score 30 points. That's all they do. So I think that's a big thing there, is that if you can bottle up Josh Allen, you got a chance, Alexis. You definitely do.
I agree. I think the key to stopping, this Buffalo Bills offense is stopping Josh Allen. He is the offense, like we said earlier. Not that they don't have guys who are talented, right? Amari Cooper, James Cook, but I think you alluded to earlier, Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid are questionable as of right now, and this is Friday. So there's a very good chance that Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid aren't playing, which would be huge losses, for this Bills offense. And we definitely want to see, our defense, regardless of who is playing, step up to the plate, and they're going to have to show up and do something against Josh Allen, because, if he has free reign to do what Josh Allen does, it's going to be a problem, kind of like you alluded to. But Jake, we do have some super chats, so I want to get to these and make sure we don't miss them. First one from Matthew. Thank you very
Matthew.
much, Matthew. And Matthew said, for everybody listening, he said, I don't think we win this game either. Is it possible? Yes. Likely no. Josh Allen is the reason I think this. I think even AD said he is really hard to bring down.
He is.
So he is. I mean, he's very slippery, and he's also a big guy. He can hit. It's hard, for some guys to kind of like get that grip on him and bring him down. So yeah.
You know what Josh Allen is? You'll probably know this reference because I've made an anime reference show. Pokemon fans out there, because I know there's plenty of them. Josh Allen is Mewtwo. Like, the Pokemon Mewtwo, Alexis, it was literally created in a lab. Josh Allen was created in a damn lab. It's one of those things where I think over time, we're just like, yeah, that's the modern day quarterback. But when he came out in the draft, we weren't ready. And I think a lot of it is, how did people miss on this guy? He's gotten a lot better since when he was picked. I was at the Senior Bowl. He did not look that great. Like in the Senior Bowl practices, he was sailing everything over everyone's head. He had the arm, but he never really had the accuracy. And his completion percentage, while at Wyoming, wasn't very good. And I think people went back and they watched the games in which he went up against top, competition, and he wasn't good in those games. So this is a reminder where you change your fortunes. You can be better in the NFL than you were in college. So Josh Allen has become a freak of nature at the next level. And I'm like mad I totally missed the boat on because I was not high on Josh Allen at all coming out. I just did not. He had bust written all over him, in my opinion, and I was wrong.
I liked him, but I wasn't like high on him. I just, I think a lot of people, like you said, I mean, he didn't have the best tape out there, and then he didn't. So I don't think you can judge anybody too harshly for missing on Josh Allen. Next super chat from everybody listening, from Man of Paradox. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Man of Paradox.
Thank you very much. They said, I'm all in for McVay's living in the moment approach, and we need a performance similar to the game against the Vikings, and we will beat the Bills. You have my word on this. See you on chat after game. Hey, I hope that you are right. I'm rocking with you, because I hope that you're right, and I hope that Jake and I are wrong. And anything can happen too. I mean, it's the NFL. So, when we make these predictions, we make it as logically as we can, but like we've seen crazier things happen, obviously, in the NFL.
We don't really pick them to lose many games, though.
We don't, and we get yelled at because of it.
Yeah.
So, we have very few games that you and I say, you know what, we think the Rams probably most likely aren't going to end up with the W this time. Just because, it's not, yeah, it's just, there's no team that I would ever pick to win every single game in an NFL season. I don't think I've ever done that. Said this team won't lose a game. So,
Yeah.
Jake, I'll start because everyone's talking about the beeping. So I'll try to talk here. Give everybody
Hear that at all. I have no idea what that is, so I apologize.
I'm very curious if it's going to show up on, I mean, I think it will show up on the playback because if everybody in the chat is hearing
If
it.
they hear it, yeah. That's annoying yeah, it is what it is.
So I'm going to shut Jake up, everybody, for a few minutes, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about what I think this offense needs to do against Buffalo, because our offense has had kind of an uncharacteristically up and down season, I think, as we've all talked about before. When this offense is healthy on paper, this should be a really, really good offense. But, we obviously had injury problems. I think that definitely messed with a lot, with this offense, losing Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, to start the season, having our offensive line injured. I mean, like Jake and I talked about earlier in the episode, really the run game was the only thing we had for the first, half of the season. You basically looked at Kyron Williams and said, all right, run the ball. At one point, he was leading the team in touchdowns drastically, which was not normal. That was just because of all the injuries we had. And then we got the offense back and they felt really, really stale. And then we're on the show talking about this offense is lacking creativity and the play calling is bad and what's going on. And I feel like we finally saw in the second half against the Saints a very balanced approach that I think we need to bring back against the Bills. The Bills have some guys, that I like. Obviously, Ed Oliver, defensive tackle in the middle. As Jake knows, he's on my dynasty team. Jake and I are in a dynasty league. I do have Ed Oliver as a defensive tackle on my team. You got Gregory Rousseau in the end, like him. AJ Epinesa, I think, Jake, you and I really liked him coming out of Iowa. I remember us having a lot of conversations about him. Also on the defensive end, so, solid defensive front. They've got Terrell Bernard, middle linebacker, Christian Benford, corner for the Bill, having a good season. He was another pickup I actually made in our dynasty league. Was able to grab him this season to fill in. We've got Taylor Rapp, Rams fans. You're all familiar with him. Free safety for the Buffalo Bills. He used to be a Ram. DeMar Hamlin, strong safety. You got Taron Johnson, kind of playing corner for them. So Jake, on paper, this is not that bad of a defense. I'd say they, a lot of guys I like on there. I think they're pretty hit or miss in how they perform. I certainly think, again, I'm using the phrase on paper. Looking at this offense, I feel this offense is more talented than the Bills defense. I think if we're playing healthy and we're playing how we played, I think in the second half, against the Saints, and the play calling is up to par, I think the Rams can potentially have a lot of success against this defense. And I would like to see the run game heavily involved. I think whenever we talk about Sean McVay, we talk about him getting pass happy, and that certainly has happened. I think a lot since Kupp and Nacua have come back, we've seen moments of this. But I think if he sticks with that balanced offense approach, the Rams can have success, against this Bills defense without too much trouble. Super chat on the screen right now from Hank Woodmore. Thank you very much for the super chat. He said Stafford can't underwhelm. Simple as that. I agree. This is going to have to be a game because of what I think Buffalo's going to do on offense. I think our offense is going to have to replicate that, and I think we're going to have to be very accurate. Little room for error. I think Stafford's going to have a big game. All right, Jake, I'm going to hand it over to you. Beeps and all. We're going to let Jake speak. We're going to take him out of this prison that we've put him in to give ourselves a break from the beeping noise. But Jake, looking at this Rams offense, what do you think they need to do to be successful against Buffalo?
They need to score early on and often. I think both of these teams are similar in that in the second half, they really make some great adjustments. Both teams, you're right. The Rams last week, they made the adjustments against the Saints. They scored 21. They hold them to 14, all of that. Well, I've watched the Bills quite a bit, and they do the same. The thing is, though, the Bills are going to score a lot of points. They're a really good team. They have the best quarterback right now in the league. But I just think that if the Rams are going to win this game, there can't be any of those. You're driving well on the first drive of the game, and then you stall out, right? Like right before the red zone, or you miss a field goal, or you go for it on miss it. I feel like you got to treat this one like you're on the road. And that's how I would do it. When you're playing against a really good team, I don't care if you're at home. You should be treating it like you're on the road. Don't call plays like you're Dan Campbell. Don't make decisions at 4th and 1, right? Idiotically going for it instead of kicking the field goal. Like, don't do that, right? When you're playing a really good team, take the points. This is not a Rams team that scores a lot of points. So, I hate to say it, but if they stall out at the 30-yard line and it's, say, 4th and 3, kick the field goal. Like, that 3 points can turn into 10 with the touchdown. But that, those will come back on you. Like, if you don't take those, and that's the thing, we saw that with the Saints. We saw that with other teams that they've played. Like, that's the reality, right? You gotta be, that team. So it's been a little frustrating because, obviously I like going for it, if it makes sense. But like that one play when they go for it on 4th down and they throw deep down the field, it's like, what are you doing? Like the missed throw to Cooper Kupp that had everyone in shambles because he was wide open in the end zone. Mm-hmm. It's plays like that. You can have those against the Saints and it doesn't cripple you. You can't have that against the Bills.
Well, yeah, you have to turn it into a shootout because as we talked about, Buffalo's going to score a lot. If Buffalo plays their game and Josh Allen looks how Josh Allen typically does, accounting for the worst, accounting for the fact that the defense doesn't pull out, in an insane game against Josh Allen, you have to make the reasonable assumption that the Bills are just going to score, a lot. And so I think that our offense's task is, okay, now we have to do the same thing. And I think that they can. If they're hitting on all cylinders and Sean McVay is in his bag and Matthew Stafford is accurate and they, everyone is doing their part and we can run a balanced offense, I do think that that's a possibility for the Rams in this game. The question is, can they come out and do it out of the gate? That's been the story, right, for the Rams this season. Nearly every game is that they don't start games well. And then it also, last week, you didn't score any points in the first half. If you do that against Buffalo, you're not going to win. I don't see any situation where the Rams score less than 10 points in the first half and win. I just don't, because of what I think, Buffalo's going to be able to do. So we'll see. I say that in an optimistic way because I do think that the Rams are going to have a better game, to start off offensively. But I think it's very critical that the Rams offense steps up to the task this week, because if they don't, if you don't turn it into a shootout, it could get ugly very quickly, is my prediction.
Yeah, it absolutely could. This is a team that can win 41-10. They definitely, if the game doesn't go how they want it to, the Bills, this could be a snowball. But I don't see it that way. And the reason why, when the whole title and everything that we used on this live stream, it really is a litmus test versus the Bills. That's really what it is, because you had mentioned it. I've said it multiple times. The Rams are playing the best team they're going to face the rest of the year. Like, the Bills are probably better than any team they're going to face if they make the playoffs. And so I want to make that clear. And I think after the Eagles game, which was, I thought the Eagles game was a little fluky. I'm not going to lie. I think the Eagles were the better team, but I didn't feel like it should have been like 37-22 or whatever it ended up being. It just didn't feel like that type of game. It felt like they were in control, but it didn't feel like it should have been a blowout. And the Saquon Barkley 255 yards, it also didn't feel like he had 255 yards because he had 2 huge runs. You take those away, and he had a really good day. But, I think it was like one of those games, where it snowballed. In this one, getting back to SoFi for the first time since that game, you're not on prime time. I actually think that's a good thing. When the Rams are in prime time and it's on a Thursday, they kick ass against the Vikings. Vikings don't have too many losses. They only have 2. Rams are one of them, right? They do a really nice job on Thursday Night Football. For whatever reason, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, they've had some struggles. And I just think that this game being at 4:30 or 4:25 instead of being at 8:30 or whatever, that could help too. I don't know why, but they are a young team, so that could play into it. But they got to get off to a quick start. They have to be able to rush they definitely have to be able to rush the passer. You're going to need your best game out of some of these guys, and Alexis, you're going to need to force some turnovers. They really went on this turnover binge, and then it kind of settled down a little bit.
Well,
I'm looking out for number 26, Cam Kinchins, to have a game in this one. I just feel like he's going to. I don't know.
well, and it's a good point, and I forgot to bring this up earlier, is that Josh Allen at times really struggles with turnovers. Obviously every great player, has their weakness. And at times, Josh Allen, I think he unfairly gets labeled by a lot. People when they try to find one of the very few things you can criticize Josh Allen for at times is, turnover machine or, whatever. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not, I don't know. But I think that the Rams are really going to have to, as we've said, if you want to put the pressure on Josh Allen, I think you have to, try and maybe force some turnovers, really be in his face, have a really effective pass rush. And listen, we keep having, good games, right? From Byron Young and Jared Verse and Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk. I mean, defensive rookie of the month, Braden Fisk, by the way, if you guys didn't see that. But we're
Kobe
really
Turner, masked singer.
Yeah, Kobe Turner, the Masked Singer. That beep scared the hell out of me. I don't know if you guys just heard that
I didn't
one.
hear any beep. I've tried. I don't know.
Jake doesn't hear it.
This sucks, man.
that
Like we're putting in like an hour worth of content, and this is gonna be almost unlistenable. I feel bad for the audio only people. They're gonna get absolutely bashed over the head with like a sledgehammer.
I I don't know. I feel like it is always like right when you stop. Well, I don't know. Some people are saying it's after he talks, but it's also when you talk because everyone's joking that it's like you'll say something and one word gets taken out and it's like you're saying a curse word because it sounds because like you'll be talking and then you'll say a word, whatever it is, and it beeps and it's like it sounds like you're being censored, like a bleep, like a curse
Is
word,
the
even though
YouTube
you're not.
TVA after me? I mean, what the hell? Oh, I wonder.
I don't know what it is, but you know what? We're having a Downtown Rams having a technical issue and it's not me. I mean, what timeline are we in?
Well, no, we've always had technical issues. I had echo cancellation on. I'd never put that on, so I don't know if that helped.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if it helps. I'm monitoring the chat. Well, I also can hear, but everyone in the chat also feel free to chime in.
I don't know how you could hear it, but I have. Like that's what I'm not understanding. I have my headphones plugged into my interface. Like I should be able to hear the monitor. Like this is monitoring what I'm hearing, not just you, but I'm monitoring. I can hear myself, and I don't hear any beeps. It sounds crystal clear. So I'm like, bruh.
I think Jake is trying to tell us that we're the problem, guys.
No, definitely
because we're the ones who. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, but to wrap that up, Josh Allen, yes. As we've talked about, he's the key. You can make the game difficult on Josh Allen, then, you're going to have a pretty good shot at trying to win the game, which, could happen. I obviously, we hope that the Rams do that and that's the case. But as we've said, we stay true kind of to our logical predictions. And we both said that we were going to not pick the Rams to win the game. which doesn't happen very often on this show. And we always get yelled at on social media because people call us homers. But Jake, I'll let you go first. What do you think the game is going to be?
I think it's going to be 34-24 Buffalo Bills. I will go as far as to say this. If the Rams win this game, they're not losing another game until the playoffs. And honestly, if the Rams beat the Bills, I think they're going to knock that playoffs. That's my bold take. If the Rams come out this weekend and they look like a playoff team and they beat the Buffalo Bills and it's a good game, I'm telling you right now, I'll say this. And Mike Florio has said this, and he hates the Rams. Like, everybody always jokes about that. Mike Florio said the one team the Lions do not want to see in the NFC is the Rams. Let's not forget, 24-23, hostile territory last year, bad call, whatever, but it's 24-23 on the road in the wild card. Then the next game that matters is week 1 against the Lions. Very similar roster, but younger because you lose Aaron Donald, you bring in some other guys, and the whole offensive line is banged up. So Matthew Stafford is playing with A.J. Arcuri at left tackle, and they literally go from losing 17-3 to taking the lead on the road to open up the season in prime time. And they lose because, well, let's be honest here, the overtime rules suck. And the first game of the season, everybody's gassed. So if the Rams won the coin toss in overtime, I'm not going to say they 100% win, but I think they probably would have. I think they just would have run it with Kyron Williams. Lions defense would have been exhausted, and you would have had it like that. So I'm just saying, I don't care how many wins you have. We all watched it. The New England Patriots, we're perfect, 16-0. And I watched this Giants team that was a wild card team knock them out. And we watched them beat the Giants, beat them twice in the Super Bowl. Like, things can happen. And I'm telling you right now, this Rams team matches up well with this Lions team, which is also decimated. So the Rams are losing this game. But if they do beat the Bills, they're for real. They're doing what they did last year, and they're going to be more dangerous than they were last year because they have a way better pass rush than they did last year. Case closed.
Well, you and I have the same prediction score-wise. I did take the Bills 34-24, but as you and I have talked about.
Wait, we have the same exact prediction?
Yeah, is that the first time that's happened this season? I don't think it is.
I think so. No, I think it is.
Maybe. We usually do, I feel like a couple times a season. So if this is the first one, I'll be surprised. But you know what? Again, as you and I have talked about this episode, there are ways for the Rams to win this game. I don't think this is a game where, and you and I haven't done this very often in the 5 years we've been doing this show, but where we're like, the Rams very easily could get like we're taking the Rams to lose by like 20 points, right? I don't think I don't know that that's ever happened. If it has, it's been few and far between. This is certainly not the case. This is a credit to Josh Allen and the Bills, who, any realistic person, if you've been watching them this season, they're a good team. And we're not taking anything away. As I've said several times, halfway through the season, the 2 games I was very concerned by were the Eagles and the Bills. We're on the last one. This is the best team that the Rams are going to play the rest of the season. I hope we're wrong. It would be disingenuous for us to come out and say something that we weren't feeling. Jake, it looks like you were seeing some things in the chat.
Yeah, I laugh. I don't know. We have great community.
Yeah.
And we're so fortunate because we get to do the NFL draft streams, and we say we get to, obviously we put in the work. And I mean, Alexis, I had food poisoning, and Alexis held it down. I mean,
yeah,
great. My Josh Carty pick, right? I was so sick, and Alexis was there. She held it down. But this is what's awesome, is that we get to kind of just continue to grow this community. And then we're going to do the NFL draft stream again and do all 3 days. And it's just going to be a party. And these people that have kind of, that similar sense of humor and everything. And the beeping, for instance, everyone in the comments section putting beep. I feel so bad. I really feel awful because I spend I spent a lot of money to make sure this is the best setup possible because I believe in quality over quantity, or I actually believe they both can coexist. But to have the whole like quality, pushing setup and just have like it's sounding like a fire alarm, as people are saying, that's a little disappointing. But there's nothing you could do. I mean,
Well,
I did everything. I literally tried troubleshooting while you were talking. I muted my mic. I turned off echo. I unplugged, plugged back in every single cord. Took this apart. Like, I don't know what the hell that is. I'm sure when I reset my computer, because this is the way technology works, I'll reset my computer and the next time you'll never hear it. This is why I hate technology. I love it, but I hate it because it just has random shit like this and there's nothing I could do.
well, you know what? I can't say anything because, as our listeners know, I've had like the most bizarre, I've had the most bizarre things happen. You know, I've had like lightning strike outside my house, and yeah, the comment. Jake's putting a comment up. It says beeping 1, Jake 0.
Not
Um,
cool.
yeah, I mean, I can't say anything. Downtown beeps, says Andrew. Um, Yeah, I don't know. But here's a super chat from Hank. So thank you very much, Hank. That's very kind. He says we match up with Detroit, but we have to stop the run. Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. I mean, we've definitely struggled with the run.
That's how they lost the first time this year.
Yeah, I mean, the run defense is going to have to, step up, not just against James Cook, but, Josh Allen can be mobile at times. Maybe
Yeah.
he's not maybe, um, like Jalen Hurts, right? I don't know that he runs as much as Jalen Hurts, but, he can still use his legs, and he scored a lot with his legs too this season. So I agree. We're gonna have to stop the run. But, Jake, getting into our bold predictions, um, I will let you go first.
I
Three,
appreciate that.
three bold predictions for this Bills Rams game on Sunday.
Well, I think Cameron Kinchins is going to get a pick. I already said that earlier in the show, so I figured I put that as a bold prediction. Anytime you call out a pick against, one, Josh Allen in 2024 when he doesn't throw many, and two, you're calling a specific player, that's bold. So I'm going to say Cameron Kinchins. I'm just feeling it. I think that we are going to see a Tutu Atwell touchdown bomb. And the reason I say that is because I feel like this is a defense that really doesn't have the pass rush that the Rams have seen with the Saints gave them some fits, and the Eagles definitely gave them some fits. This Bills defense doesn't create a ton of pressure outside of Gregory Rousseau. On obvious passing downs, third down specifically, like Von Miller comes their situational pass rusher, and he is a problem. He does create havoc, but on a second down after a Kyron Williams, let's say 5-yard run or 6-yard run or what have you, I see a play action and a bomb to Tutu Atwell for a touchdown. So that's the second one. And then the third one, so I did defense, I did an offense, and I do have the Rams losing, keep in mind, so I can't go too crazy here, but I'm going to say that the Rams get to Josh Allen and they sack him 4 times. And I'm going to say they have more than 20 pressures in this game. So 4 sacks and 20 pressures, 20 plus pressures and 4 plus sacks for the Rams on Josh Allen. I think they're going to give it their all. This could very well, when you say 34-24, keep in mind, that could be 31-24 and they kick a field goal at the end of the game. Or, that could be, a game where you're talking 27-24 ball game and they score a touchdown at the end of the game and, to wrap it up. That's kind of how I see it. I think it'll be close. They'll be in it a lot more than they were against the Eagles. But I think that the Rams will have a lot to take away in this game to feel good about. But I don't think they're going to get it done. And like I said, if they do, watch the hell out. This is a team you do not want to face if they beat the Bills this Sunday.
Like the predictions. Think those are all very reasonable. Could see them happening for sure. Um,
Rogan set you up for failure.
we're talking about the headphones and just how they're obviously because I said that they might actually not be the headphones. I thought maybe it could be a connection thing because I feel like you also kind of glitch a little bit after the beeps happen. Um, so who knows? I don't know what you're holding up. Oh, that's a cord for your headphones. Um,
Yeah, so I was wondering if it sounded any different when I do this. Can you hear anything or no?
n not
Yeah, I
I
don't think
can't.
it's that. I don't.
No. Well, um, anyway, to the predictions, for everyone's like, I see a couple people have said take a shot every time you hear a beep, guys. We would be dead.
That
Um,
bad? Oh, I'm never watching this ever. Never.
um, it's okay. No, I just mean throughout the whole episode. I mean, it's I just say every few minutes, not like from right now, but
Yeah.
anyways, the predictions for this game. I think we're gonna see two Puka Nacua touchdowns. I really like how, obviously Puka Nacua is a great player. I love how the Rams use him. I think that, he could have a good game. I think this is like a situation for me that just feels like Cooper Kupp is going to get a lot of attention from this Bills defense. So I think Puka Nacua is going to have a big game. Defensive side of the ball, this is crazy. I don't know why I thought of this today, but I felt like I wanted to speak it into existence. And this is as insane as my prediction last week. There's no basis or reasoning for me to say this, but I feel like Jared Verse interception off of the tip ball.
Damn. You're going
That's
out there.
crazy, but I wanted to do something super specific and bold because I was this close to getting it last week with the Braden Fisk interception. So I'm just going to change it up. I'm just going to say Jared Verse interception off like a deflection or something crazy. The ball's going to just like effortlessly fall from the sky into rookie Jared Verse's hands. Why not? Let's do a fun one there. Um, let's see another one because I have them losing as well, but someone on the screen, super chat,
Oh,
Jake's
man.
laughing, said it's because Jake dressed like the Big Lebowski. Feds tapping in for real. You never know.
I don't
Maybe that's
know.
what happened.
They don't like the drip, I guess.
Last prediction, I'm gonna say, let's say, I don't want to say, because I feel like Kyron Williams is gonna have a big day. I feel like Puka Nacua is gonna have a big day, but I don't want to do a Kyron prediction because I think I did one last week. Let's do another defensive prediction. I'm gonna say Braden Fisk 2 sacks.
I like that.
I think Braden Fisk 2 sacks. My fun Jared Verse magical interception. Um, and then Puka Nacua 2 touchdowns. That feels pretty reasonable to me. I like that. Again, I think this game, the Rams are going to have to make this a shootout if they want a shot. So, we're on the same page there. Um,
Well, no, they don't
somebody,
want to shoot out. They want to keep it. They want
well,
to
well,
keep the
you,
score low.
no, no, no. I know what you mean, but like, I mean, in the sense of like how we talked about how we think the Bills are going to score a lot. I think if
Oh yeah,
the Rams need to then also score a lot. Like it needs to be if the Bills are going to play how the Bills normally play, they're going to score a lot of points. So the Rams are going to have to do the same and make it a shootout, and then hope that they can come away with 3 or 7 more points.
yeah.
Um,
By the way,
so
the Colts had 2 sacks on Josh Allen in that game, and they had 19 pressures on Josh Allen. DeForest Buckner had 5 of them. So
hey, maybe Jared Verse and Braden Fisk just absolutely go for it and give Josh Allen hell. They're
I mean,
talented enough to do
maybe.
it.
Uh,
We'll see.
Odenigbo, their edge defender, had a 32.1 win percentage rate. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, you look at the Bills' offensive line, and I mean, they've been healthy all year, right? So it's the offensive line. They have a lot of familiarity. They gel, all that, but it's not a perfect unit, right? So that's one of those things like where when I look at this team, I'm like, they're not bad, but that's not the Lions. That's not the Eagles, right? Like that's not an offensive line that's impenetrable. So I do think that that's something to consider, you know, Rams fans, if you're kind of like, man, what's our out here? Because it sounds pretty bleak. I mean, that's what I would say. You know, that's how I would talk about it. I just think like right now, I don't think, and I've said this throughout the week on other shows, it's not the most talented Bills team they've had, but this is the best Bills team. They find ways to win. And that's just the reality of the situation. But with Deion Dawkins and David Edwards, former Ram on that offensive line, Spencer Brown, Connor McGovern, you know, and Osiris Torrance, I think Torrance is the weak link. I mean, they didn't really do anything. The offensive line only gave up 3 pressures against the Niners, and they were all on Osiris Torrance at right guard. So I don't know. I think that there's some opportunities there. Deion Dawkins versus Jared Verse is a huge matchup, and we're going to see how the trenches go. Like you mentioned with Braden Fisk, I mean, if they're getting pressure on the edge, they're getting interior pressure, Josh Allen is going to be he's going to be hurried, right? I'm not going to say he's going to be in trouble. He's Josh Allen. He'll find his way out of it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a chance, right? There's always, you know, this is the NFL. Anybody can win any game. Anybody can lose any game. I think this Rams team, when they're healthy and they're playing as well as they can, is a very, very good team. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked, you know, if the Rams were to come out of this with a win. I certainly hope they do. And I know you hope they do as well. But guys,
I love it.
We'll see. We'll see this Sunday. You know, wrapping up here.
Check out Prize Picks.
Yeah.
Definitely be sure to hit that up. And actually, real quick, I'm gonna throw up Prize Picks and I'll throw some stuff out there as we wrap up the show. Because yeah, they got stuff on the Rams already, I believe. Oh, maybe they don't. One sec. I'm checking. Let's see here. All right. Forget it. It's not loading. But yeah, definitely check out Prize Picks. Use promo code JKBogan and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup win or lose. And they'll have stuff up. Kyron Williams is going to be around like 60, I think it's 69 and a half. It's around that rushing yards. So I like that. You can run on the Bills. So I like Kyron Williams. Stafford will probably throw more yards this week. His will be down, so it should be good value because he didn't even have 200 last week. And then Puka Nacua is always a good one there. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, as always, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Craft with a K. You can follow Jake at JKBogan. And guys, we'll be back next week to recap this game against the Bills. But until then, guys, as always, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.